Welcome in. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth, and this is the Pats Nation. Gentlemen, how are we feeling this fine morning?
Hey.
Oh, I can't wait. It's almost football season, Chris.
You know what's funny is Corso and Catone is yesterday, and I love that show. I have my smile on my face, but my God, just
right. This
thinking
is the
about
show.
Football.
This is the show.
How excited! You excited, Joe?
I'm excited. I'm excited for our new Patriots team. Yeah. It's a whole new era to start from.
Here we go, Chris. It's a whole new era. All right. He just deflated the balloon. You just deflated the balloon, for crying out loud.
What? Well, listen, I'm excited to be with you guys, and I'm also excited to be with you watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, you can catch us. And, of course, 790 The Score in Providence, Rhode Island. Hey, and make sure you get on Heated Hotline. Give us a call, 24/7. It's a message line. Have a take, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. Anything's on the table, so make sure you give us a call or email us, corso.catone@gmail.com. Want to hear from you. Hey, got a good one. Going to talk camp now. Camp's coming up soon, and so we want to talk position battles that we expect to see in our camp preview. Got Drake Maye. Want to talk a little bit of the quarterback situation that we expect to see in camp. Going to hear from one of you in the nation in Heated Hotline, and we're going to go into our corner for Coach's Corner, see how they're going to fare in camp. So, guys, this is let's just get right into the position battles. What do you say?
Go for
it. Let's just do it. Come on.
Joe, you good with that? You want to play the Pats Nation wash? Do it.
Okay, let's do it.
So, Mark, I want to talk a little bit about what we expect to see in camp. And first of all, just talk. And yesterday we talked a little bit about this on Corso and Catone, just kind of what we expect. So, what is your expectation just overall about this camp?
Well, so overall, Chris, and I said this a little bit on the show yesterday. I think that it's going to be obviously a different type of a camp, right? Because Mayo in every step has tried to distinguish himself as being different than Bill, right? And he's made it a point to bring that up, numerous times, to kind of try to make those comparisons. So I think it's going to be a different type of camp. I think it'll be a little lighter. I think how he interacts with the reporters will be different. I think the information that is shared about camp will be different. However, are these guys prepared for camp, Chris? This coaching staff, are they prepared for what it takes to get a team ready for the schedule they're going to have and for week one? And I know you got a lot to say about that because you had brought this up a little bit yesterday. You had just touched on it, but is this coaching staff ready, Chris? I think is what everybody wants to see and know.
And that's one of the things that I'm going to be looking at. And when we get into Coach's Corner later on in the show, we'll talk a little more in depth on that. But yeah, one of the things I'm looking at is the organization of camp. How's it organized? How does it look?
Hey, Chris, what does that mean to the casual observer who just likes to tune in on a Sunday and watch a game? What does that mean, the organization of training?
An NFL team has a very detailed practice plan. They're coming in and it's outlined, it's mapped out, it's discussed, it's going over. You should have a whole department that is coming up with your that is putting together your practice plans. And this is where you come out, there's a certain amount of time for stretching, then the horn blows, then you go into individuals, where each position goes together and works on certain drills and techniques and whatever they're learning physically out on the field. Then you maybe come in together with, 7-on-7, say, it's just your skill guys going against each other where the linemen go out and take care and do something different. And then you go full team. 11. So there are various things like that. You have a special teams sessions and all this too. So the organization.
What you're interested to see if that's cohesive and crisp and
because it's important. I mean, it's so freaking important. I could tell you firsthand. I mean, it's important. It's important to have a plan and organization because, these guys are pros, but they're kids too. These guys are pros, but easily distracted. That's just the way that this day and age player is, and you better have everything sound. You better have everything organized, moving from drill to stay, no stagnancy, meals, preparation that way. There's a lot that goes into this.
Oh, we
And
know Mr. Kraft gives them, filet mignon and he's giving them high priced
bologna
dinners.
sandwiches, wasn't it? That
bologna sandwich.
Yeah, Pete Carroll, the bologna sandwiches, right?
The bologna sandwiches, So that's what I'm going to be looking for. But Mark, specifically going into some of these positions, and then I want to hit a couple, and then we'll go to break. But I want to talk about the wide receiver first because that's been first and foremost on everybody's mind. So name a few names who I think will be locks to make this team. I think Kendrick Bourne, although I think he may end up starting out on Purple. They're saying not. They're saying he's going to play right off the bat. I don't buy that.
I don't buy that either, Chris. I bet you're right. It may not be the 8-week pup. It's maybe the first 4-week pup, right? Can't you come off now week 4?
It was 4 because it used to be 6, right? And now they split it.
I think it's 4. I think he can come off. So I wouldn't be surprised, Chris, if the first 2 or 3 weeks he's on pup.
Yeah. So, but I think he's obviously a lock to make this team. The two rookies.
They just signed him to an extension. He's a lock.
Right. So Polk, Baker, they're making this team. Pop Douglas making this team. That's 4 guys right there.
The other free agent,
Osborne will make this team because of what they paid him. And so that leaves pretty much because they're going to carry 6 guys. I think Jalen Reagor will end up being that special teams guy. That's how they'll be able to sneak him in on the roster.
He'll be like a Slater.
Right. And now you're left with one more spot for generally, I mean, for all purposes, 3 guys. Butte, Schuster, and I can't stand him. I don't want to talk. I don't want to say his name. Don't say his name. Thornton.
Listen,
Listen,
Chris.
He's going to start
catches,
now, Joe.
80 catches, 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns this year.
Yeah. And that's when he wakes up with a sprained wrist. For trying to get off a block. For trying to get off.
Speaking of a sprained wrist, supposedly he was fully healthy, but Schuster was a limited participant in the mandatory minicamp. So was he healthy? Like, what was that, a story? Oh, I'm totally healthy. I'm totally different than last year. But then he's limited in the mandatories. So
he's saying that same story last year.
I don't know.
No, you know what? Schuster's done. He's done. This guy's done. He should not make this team, and neither should Thornton. I want to see, what are you looking for with this group? Because
Chris, I honestly think, and he was on my draft list last year. I said, he's a 6th round pick, and lo and behold, they took him in the 6th round. Was Butte? Chris, I think this kid can pop. I really think
we like both of them, Butte and Douglas. We like,
and you both. Like Douglas. You like Douglas. I like Butte. Listen, the last day of mandatory minicamp, Chris, he popped. He had 4 touchdowns that day. One of them, he goes up and gets physical with Gonzalez, takes the ball away from him, scores a touchdown. He had 4 TDs. He was the talk of camp that day. Now, Chris, this week, his legal troubles in Louisiana are gone. They dismissed the case against him, so he doesn't have that hanging over his head. So now it's just go out, show up, do your thing, and I think he's going to pop. I really think he's going to pop, Chris, and he's your 6th guy. But do they eat Schuster's contract? That's the issue. I think they'd like to see Schuster show something in camp so they could trade him for a 6th or 7th round pick. Because do you really think they'll eat that contract?
What I think is going to end up happening, is I think Bourne's going to, for that 4 weeks or so that Bourne's on the shelf,
they'll keep Butte and Schuster.
Will be the guy. Okay. And so they're gonna, which pisses me off a little because you're gonna stunt some of these rookies' growth with putting Schuster on the field. The question becomes: does the coaching staff have the eggs enough? Does Van Pelt have the eggs enough to put Schuster on the damn bench? And see, this is the problem that I foresee with this season. This rah-rah mentality of the coaching staff, Mark, as it relates to these position guys. You want Elliot Wolf talked about, we're going to play our rookies. We're going to play them. Okay. Well, if you're going to have Schuster in the slot, you're going to be playing him there. What are you going to do with Douglas? What are you going to do with Polk? What are you going to do with, Baker? I mean, how, Baker's more on the outside, but how are you handling these guys? That's the only problem for me. And because I don't think he's going to show at all. I think he's going to be invisible like he was last year. And I think if Douglas comes off, and I think you release him or do something else with him or find a way to put him on IR. But does the coaching staff have the balls to do it, Mark?
Yeah. Well, we're going to see, Chris, right? So we talked about the fact that, he's doing things the opposite of Bill. Well, we know Bill had the beans to release guys and put them on IR. And so let's see if these guys are prepared for that. So based on this conversation, Chris, we both agree that Thornton is going to be definitely the odd man out, possibly Schuster too, but definitely Thornton.
I think he should be. Yeah, I think he should be. I mean, he's going to have to really rebound in camp.
I was going to say, you don't think Thornton has any chance of popping based on your experience?
He can't get separation. Look, that's the bottom line. The bottom line is I don't care about his speed. You can run. Mark, you said this earlier in this offseason, on Corso and Catone. You talked about the fact that speed is fine, but the guys that you were looking at in the draft, there's raw speed, which really does nothing. And then there's game speed. There's football speed.
Yeah.
The ability to be quick in and out of breaks, running away from people, good angles. Like all these things that Thornton just doesn't have. I mean, he can't get off press. He can't get separation, and therefore he's useless. Yeah. Not as a human being. I'm talking about as a football player. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
what is wrong with you? There's something.
I'm trying to be more human and nicer in this world.
To people. Listen,
you
need to be more. If you can be more like me, you'll have no problems. Calm,
the world,
courteous, respectful. You're gonna be like me, right, Joe?
Yeah.
And he'll have no problems.
I think it says that in my contract. Yes.
I think everybody should go watch Corso and Catone or listen to all the Catone's comments on there. Pull those up. Let's see how nice Mark is. You could see
we
that.
agree, Chris. This position group. So let me ask you this before we move on: is this position group an upgrade over last year's wide receiver group room?
Yeah, but what the hell does that mean?
Listen. I think Polk and Baker. And I told you this. I thought there was sneaky
You're upgrading
picks.
from dirt to rocks. I mean, what are you?
No, listen. I told you I thought there were sneaky picks, sneaky good picks. I think Polk and Baker are going to be better than people think. Listen.
Well, are you asking for the immediate future, or are you asking for the going down the line? I mean, if you're asking me I'm saying
even immediate future, Chris. I think they're no matter what, they're an upgrade from last year. Like you said, you're going from dirt to what'd you say, rocks, right? Okay. I don't know where you got that from, but okay, I'll go with it. I don't know.
I just made it up.
But no, so we'll see what happens. It's a little bit of an upgrade, this room.
Right. And when we look at the other thing to look at too is, can Polk become the one? Can he become the one? And when I say one, I mean the one where he's the guy looked to.
Okay.
He's going to be looked to, or is it going to be Pop Douglas? Because I don't think it's Bourne.
Everybody keeps saying, Chris, the sleeper is this kid Osborne. They claim he had a he just played steady in all throughout these mini camps. So I'm interested to see actually what he does, Chris, because you really couldn't gauge anything based on what he did in Minnesota. He didn't get enough playing time. So I am interested to see what people saw with this kid. Yeah, I'm interested to see what people saw in him in minicamp. So I am interested in that.
So, and switching over to the offensive line now, Mark. Okay, so this is as of a mess as they made as much of a mess with this offensive line in the offseason as you could possibly make. I mean, they had the opportunity to move up. I've said it repeatedly, to try to get a left tackle that were guys in the draft. Instead, they stand pat, and they took a right tackle in the right tackle in Caden Wallace, right? Never played left tackle, so I don't see a left tackle on this roster. Okay. So just looking at the interior for a minute, we know that Andrews is going to be the center with the other Andrews backing him up. Fine. We know that you have a combination of Sau, Mafi, Cole Strange, if he ever is healthy and can actually play. I don't think he can, but he's involved there. And we'll put an asterisk next to a winner for 1 second. And now you're looking at Okafor and Caden Wallace, and then a couple other guys at tackle. So who plays left tackle, Mark? These are all right tackles that I'm talking about.
The kid they signed from Pittsburgh is going to be your left tackle. He played right and left tackle at Pittsburgh, more right, but he can play the left. I think he's going to have to be your left tackle, Chris. You don't have another one on the roster.
I go to bed with happier thoughts,
Chris, but there are still a couple of guys out there that you could sign that haven't been signed yet.
What's the kid
and
from
I don't
Green
know.
Bay?
I don't know if they. Yeah, he's a veteran. He's like, does he have a one more year left in him? He's debating on whether he wanted to retire or not. I don't know. Maybe Wolf must have some knowledge of him. Maybe I don't know. But Chris, do you go out and try to spend some money and take a shot on something like that, just in case this kid from Pittsburgh? Say the kid from Pittsburgh gets hurt the second week of training camp. The kid they signed. What do you do at left tackle? What do you do at left tackle? You have
got to go scrape the barrel and find somebody.
Yeah, because there's no depth there.
Skarnecki is not coaching these guys, Mark. So, I mean, it's not like you're going to take some rookie, put him in there, and all of a sudden he's going to pop because you got the kind of coach. I don't know what they got to coach. You got first-time guys doing it.
So what are you going to do? You're going to kick the rookie over to left tackle?
God bless us all.
Well, what else do you? I mean, where's your depth, Chris, at left tackle? Who was
so you all see the issue out there.
Yeah.
So everybody sees the issue out there with what we have coming in. Now, I will say,
Chris, we're probably the only team in the league without a backup left tackle.
No, I know. And so you see the issue, and on the other side, we'll see what this Caden Wallace produces in camp. I mean, if he shows and he pops and he can get it and understand it, I think you may see a winner play guard. And maybe you see a kid like Sao or Mafi kick out to tackle and see if something like that can happen. I mean, there may be some mixing and matching of some of these guys to put the Band-Aid on it. But don't make no mistake, it's going to be a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it will get better with the improvement of the wide receivers. And with the improvement, a little bit of quarterback and confidence and the ability to read a field, even Brissett, to get the ball out quicker, it may mask some of these issues they have at the offensive line, Mark.
It will. Because, Chris, we both agree, even if Brissett's the starter, Brissett is an upgrade from Mac Jones, correct?
Yeah, he is, just simply because I agree with that. I mean, what he became, what Mac Jones became was, maybe someday he won't be, but yeah, he was here. So yeah, and these wide receivers can get some separation,
which to your point has to help the offensive line, right?
No, the more separation you get, the ball can come out quicker. I mean, the way our wide receivers were a year ago, and so they get no separation. You lock them up one-on-one, and therefore you can bring more heat. I mean, it's just all. So we'll see what happens with that with the wide receivers. So pay attention to that.
Chris, what about now center? Are you worried about Andrews? Because I think he had a little bit of a down year last year, Chris.
No, I'm not as worried about that. I even think the backup can be okay, serviceable. Okay. I'm less. Right. Put it this way: it's a worry, but it's the least worry of what you have going on out there on the offensive line. It's that bad. It's that bad, and it didn't have to be.
And Chris, we got a new offensive line coach. Who people say people speak very highly of him around the league. However, we don't know. We don't know.
Well, we'll see what happens. Pay attention to it. This portion of the Pats Nation was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. And we come back, going to talk corner, going to talk safety, maybe even kicker, all that and more. Stick around.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with the Pats Nation. So, Mark, we talked wide receiver. We talked offensive line. Let's talk defensive. Let's get on the defensive side of the ball, and talk a little bit about corner. It's one of the positions, because when you look at the offensive, the defensive front
line. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty pleased with what we have coming in. I think there'll be some dominance there in my opinion. But looking at the corner position, this is a very interesting situation and a battle that's going to be a camp, because obviously Christian Gonzalez is on this team. Jonathan Jones is on this team. Marcus Jones. And I think Alex Austin also makes this team. But the bigger question is, who's playing, who's going to be playing boundary? Who's the inside corner? Who's the outside corners? For all purposes.
We know Gonzalez is playing boundary, correct?
Yeah.
Obviously.
So is it going to be Jonathan Jones, or is it going to be Alex Austin who's playing outside, or somebody else?
Well, Alex Austin, Chris, I think is going to have to kick out there, because, I mean, isn't Jonathan Jones's natural position inside? I mean, I know he played outside for us, but isn't he most comfortable playing the inside? Yeah,
that was his natural position, is to play inside corner. I think he's fantastic at it. I mean, you're talking a guy that if you put him on the inside, he's borderline Pro Bowler at that spot.
So, and Chris, because
of boundary guys usually make the Pro Bowl.
But Chris, because these teams are running so many different types of formations and so many guys in and out, even though technically we're saying Jones would be the starter on the inside, you're going to need more than one guy on playing the inside, because you're going to need, you're playing nickel and dime. And so you're probably going to need Marcus Jones on the field at the same time as well.
Absolutely. And to me, Marcus Jones should be a starter on this team. But see, that's the issue. The problem is he can only play inside. I mean, they stuck him out there on the boundary a little bit. They had to. They were down to nobody, and then it went before he got hurt. And I mean, he held his own, but he just doesn't have the size to be able to play that position. He can't high point things out there. Get phased properly. So he has to play. I like to see him playing inside. But then,
because look, Chris,
I guess a lot's going to depend on his DL Chris, too.
He has the speed to play on the inside with some of these athletes that you're going to go up against. Even though he may not have the size, when he was drafted,
he's an inside guy.
Maybe they got a guy that can run with a guy like Hill and Waddle and these guys, right?
And that's precisely what he can do and why he's here.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the 6th round draft pick wide receiver. I interrupted you. What were you saying about him?
Well, I'm saying that, on the outside, if you have a situation where Alex Austin pops, in camp as an outside corner, and you also have one of the newer guys, that come up, I'm going to say a Wade, I don't think he will, but this Marcellus Dial, who you and I really, really liked. Okay. They got him in the 6th round. He's a boundary corner. He's a guy that plays out there, and he's the kind of guy that you can see popping. Yeah, he comes forward really well. He's got good hands. He can spin, get in phase. He'll high point balls too, strong hands. So I mean, if a guy like that pops, now you're sitting there saying, well, okay, I got a nice rotation with Jonathan Jones and Marcus Jones on the inside. Now your corner spots. Your corner looks like a pretty good room, doesn't it?
It does, because we're both assuming that Christian Gonzalez is going to be a shutdown corner, and he's going to take that side of the field away from teams, right? And so that's what we're hoping happens. So, Chris, with what you just said, we're going to have a pretty good room. Do you go get some depth? Do you go out and because he's still out there? Do you contemplate bringing in a guy like Gilmore?
Yeah, I do. With the way these guys get injured at that position, I mean, Gilmore's still out there. Nobody's fighting to put him on the roster now,
unless he ends up back in Dallas. But I don't know.
Is he? Yeah, I mean, there may be some backdoor deal there, but we don't know about. But I mean, is he long in the tooth? Yeah, but he had a good year last year.
He had a real good year, because their starting outside corner got hurt like in week 1 or 2, and Gilmore ended up starting the entire season out there, even though he wasn't supposed to.
So yeah, I mean, you could absolutely bring him in, and then I think you really got a good corner room at that point. Plus, you got some veteran
And
leadership.
he's a veteran, Chris. I think he could help develop Gonzalez.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah,
I think Gilmore would be a big pickup for Gonzalez.
So that's something to look forward to in camp. Look at that corner position battle. And is Isaiah Bolden. This was a guy that you and I were strong on, Mark. We liked him. You know,
we did.
That's a Dion kid right there. You know,
it is a Dion kid, and we're interested to see what happens with this kid if he develops. Now, Chris, the one thing is, do they develop differently without Bill on the sidelines? These guys, and how they're put in position to be successful it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little different now.
It is. And then when we get to Coach's Corner later in the show,
we'll talk a little bit about that.
About Bill, you know, because Mark thinks it, and I believe it too, that this defense is going to take a step backward, not forward, because of the influence, the lack of the influence.
And he didn't listen. I was his biggest critic, and I know we're going to get into this when we talk about Coach's Corner. I was his biggest critic at the end. You know that. But Jesus, Chris, he had more influence on that defense than people give him credit for last year. You really think they were a top 5-10 defense? Come on. He hit a lot of things, especially your favorite part of the field in the middle.
The middle of the field. And as we get into camp, we're going to really talk about that. But so there's a position. Look at corner. Look at safety now, Mark. Mark, the big thing about this is Devin McCourty retires. Okay.
Yeah. Did we replace him?
No. The safeties on this roster, you know, is Peppers going to play there? No, I don't know. Jalen Hawkins.
He had such a good season playing where he played last year. I think it's almost like you're wasting him if you put him in center field. But anyways,
I just feel like they replaced that position, and that's such a and as much as single high safety they play, okay. And I'm looking at some of the guys they have here. Look, as important of a position as that is, center field safety, meaning like when you try to go single high safety, you're playing, you say cover 3, or you know, you're bringing somebody down and you want that safety 15, 20 yards back. I mean, nobody did it better than McCourty. Now, who are you going to put there? Mapu's not that guy. Mapu is basically a box. He's a box safety. You know, he's going to play low. Kyle Duggar, same kind of guy. He's more on the strong side, down low. He's playing inside. Jabril Peppers would be a guy they'll put there, but can he do it? You know, does he have the speed to do it? Does he have the lateral, you know, side to side to get to that high point, those balls downfield? You know, they brought in this Jalen Hawkins, 50-year guy. That's a guy that I think is going to be playing there probably. So you may end up seeing him start. And we still don't know. Is Bledsoe going to do something now? I don't like Schooler. I'm not. He's not.
School is a special
teams guy. I don't even like him on special teams. And you know this Petrus guy. He's a rookie. So you're thin at that free safety spot.
You're real thin.
So you better hope. You better hope that Hawkins can play or Peppers can play that spot. So that's going to be an issue. The middle of the field and the single high safety position is going to be a big problem, Mark. And that's something you all out there need to look at in camp. These stiffs playing over there at friggin' safety, you know, that they gave Duggar and they gave these guys all this friggin' money. And now here they are. We don't have a center field safety back there. Wait till you see the exposing,
Chris,
how exposed that's going to be.
Chris, I'm afraid of the combination. It's not only, as you just said, it's not only center field safety. It's the combination of center field safety and middle of the field. That's a bad combination. If those are two weak spots in your defense, Chris, that's bad. That's a bad combination to have.
Because it's play recognition coming down. You know, you part of playing that free safety is play recognition and being able to come down and recover, come forward. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they can.
And I know everybody out there saying, "What about quarterback?" Guys, I'm talking about quarterback. We're going to get to quarterback, and we're going to get to quarterback when we get to Drake Mania, okay? Which is coming up next.
Chris, let me ask you a question about the defense. Does Matthew
Yeah.
Judon become a distraction in camp?
Because of the contract situation?
Can this coaching staff handle, more importantly, can this coaching staff handle a distraction like that in camp?
No. Mayo will paint the perfect face as if he can and will deal with it, and we'll calm this. No, we're handling it. No, they're not equipped for that yet, because it's going to be a problem. There's a reason he's not signed. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with the fact that he's not signed with his injury
I don't
history.
either. No, neither do I. Chris,
He faded away at the end of seasons, and then he got hurt.
Chris, I honestly thought they were going to trade him draft time and get a pick for him, and they didn't. I was very surprised,
especially with some of the other guys they have now at that position. Yeah, guys that can't come off the edge, guys that can't be rush specialists, and people like that. So he's going to have to earn the money now.
It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in camp, Chris, if he becomes a distraction.
So stay tuned to that. Pay attention to that, and in all the position battles. But when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of Drake Maye. We want to talk quarterback talk, and this is presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, no flipping.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with the Pats Nation. So listen, we talked a lot of positions. Everybody wants to talk about quarterback, Mark. Everybody wants to talk about Drake Maye, Brissett, and your favorite quarterback of all in Bailey Zappi. And hey, listen, for you Pats Nation fans out there, stay tuned. Joe's going to have something coming up for Drake Mania. Huh, Joe? What do you say? Coming up soon.
Oh, yeah.
Soon. Listen, Mark, he's got the best washers. We call washers the things that you play in between the segments that have good sound. And
he does have YouTube, the best washers. He does.
And you could see at the bottom of the screen, he already has this little Drake Mania thing going over there.
I like it. I like it.
Little play on words there. Mania.
Little play on words. Yeah, Chris, listen, before we talk about Drake Mania, I got a question for you. It came out last week or the week before. That it was confirmed that the Giants offered us their pick and a first-round pick to move into the slot to get to when we took May. And it was just a rumor before, but now it was pretty much confirmed that was the offer on the table, and we declined it. Would you have taken it?
You're talking about their pick, number 6.
And a first-round pick next year. Would you have taken
I heard that too, but wasn't the issue... No, that was Minnesota, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's supposedly.
But what was part of the other package?
That was I don't know, but that was on the table. And the
Patriots I'm not taking that alone.
All right.
No,
I think that's all it was. And I don't know. I don't know.
You know what? I think
Chris,
you've lost every ounce of reality you ever had.
They might be throwing in a 3rd or 4th round pick too. Like there might have been another pick involved.
No, that's not enough.
Okay. No, I didn't lose any sense of reality. I'm telling you what the offer on the table was. Are you okay with them saying no? That's all I'm saying. Because they did say no.
I'm okay with them saying no because you were talking about the 6th pick, fine, 3 to 6. And then the first round pick next year, which we don't know what it'll be.
And I think they were offering another pick, like a 4th round, a 3rd round, or something like that.
No, you would have had to give me. You would have had to give me your 2nd round pick too.
Okay.
You would have had to give me that 2nd round pick you got there. And you would have had to give me another 1 second in the next. You would have had to give a lot up for that.
A lot more. Okay. All right. I just put out there because I heard it's been confirmed that the Giants definitely made that offer. Don't get me started, Chris. You like to get me upset.
Mark wanted Jalen Hyatt on this team so bad last year's draft. Okay,
please.
so bad out of
All right.
Tennessee, and
Yeah.
how's he doing? How's he doing with the Giants? How's he
He's
doing in camp?
popping in camp. Oh, he's popping in. He popped in all the mini camps. He was popping. Okay, what's
All
the
right,
year
let's
he
talk
has?
quarterback. All right,
Yes.
let's talk quarterback. So Drake Maye's on this team now. I've maintained that this is not a quarterback competition. It's a quarterback competition in the sense of Drake Maye competing against himself, because everybody knows this is
Okay.
going to be the guy. He's the future. He's the guy. The question is, he looked pretty good in OTAs. He looked good with shorts and t-shirts and all that. Should he play? Is there a scenario that you see that he starts the season, and is there a scenario, if not, that he gets in this year? Should he?
Me personally, Chris, I would like to be able to sit him for an entire year. But what happens? You go to you're in training camp, Chris. He seemed to be improving as these mini camps went on. He goes into training camp and he explodes and takes off, and is just leaps and bounds better than Brissett. Can you afford to say no? But you're going to sit and watch and wait, and when the rest of the team watches that, and what Jacoby's going to stop? Can you do that?
Yeah,
You
should
can do that. Oh,
you should.
You should. So how does that affect the
Because
team, though? That they watch that, and now you don't start him anyways.
I think Brissett is kind of a team kind of guy. I think guys like him. I think they get
And he'll
behind
be
him.
okay.
I'm not as worried about the team response to that.
Okay.
And I'm not really even worried so much about his response to that, because he knows he's the guy. My problem with overreacting in camp to things is you can never really simulate it. First of all, these preseason games are a joke. I mean, they're nothing but a joke.
They've become more and more of a joke, haven't they? Really, last few years. It's
and
bad.
unless you're gonna, and I don't see this if they're doing it or not. I haven't looked at this yet. Maybe Joe may look it up, or maybe if they're practicing with any other teams this year during camp.
Did I have the connections to do that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're doing it. So here's what I tell you: if you go back in time when Mac Jones was they were playing the Giants, they were competing with the Giants, practicing with them, I should say, and he looked great, and that's how he gained his starting job, right, over Cam Newton. So when you're playing against another team all week, yeah, maybe it's possible. I just feel like you can't duplicate. You can't.
Yeah,
I get concerned about it. You just can't simulate what you're going to see week one from Cincinnati. The kind of game plan they're going to put together. And this kid's young to begin with. What's he going to be, 23?
Who?
Or 22?
No,
something like that?
22. He's not even going to be 23, Chris. He's a kid. He's still 21 years old. He hasn't turned 22
He's 21
yet.
years old. He's going to be 22 in the season going on. And so, to me, you're looking at this as, does he know how to study yet? Does he really know how to watch film? Does he really know how to read, to handle that type of situation on the field, pre-snap, post-snap, set his protections? It's a lot. It's a lot. So I don't care really how good he looks in camp. You can't. I wouldn't put him out there. Not with this offensive line.
Okay.
I don't want to play him all season.
No, I don't either. I really don't. But I was playing a little bit of devil's advocate because I honestly think May also knows that's why Brissett's here, because they're going to bring him in, slowly.
Yeah.
They're going to bring him up, and I think, so I think he knows that. So yeah, I think Brissett, Chris, and what you said earlier, Chris, Brissett is a veteran. He'll be able to set protection. He'll be able to read defenses. He'll get the ball out quick. He's not a slouch. I mean, he's a capable quarterback, backup quarterback. He'll give them games where he looks really good, Brissett, and then he'll give them games where he made that throw. Really, that's why he is what he is. But I think they can be competitive with Brissett. I don't know. I'm not saying they're making the playoffs, but he'll keep them in games, and maybe they're not going to get blown out. We already went through their schedule and what we think their record would be. But, so what about Bailey Zappi?
Well, it's the flaw. Wait a minute. It's the flaw with him, though. You see,
it is the flaw.
What you're expecting from Brissett is you're expecting him not to put you in bad situations.
Yes.
Don't put us behind the sticks,
Yeah.
Don't turn the goddamn ball over. You know what I mean? Like, don't take those chances. May will take those chances. You know, he'll get him behind the sticks more than Brissett will, just because of his sheer, inexperience. And so that's what you're looking for. But yeah, you talk
Chris,
about that.
what about
Okay,
Zappy?
you're gonna talk about Zappy. I don't even know
No,
I'm gonna spend and devote 1 single second to this slug stiff that shouldn't be playing on the friggin' team at all.
Listen, I'm gonna. You know why I brought him up? Because that's Joe's guy. That's Joe's guy, Zappy. That's Joe's guy.
Joe still thinks Montana's still playing out there. He's over there with his Montana jersey. He thinks he's better than Brady. Joe.
All right.
I just completely attacked Joe.
So listen. So Zappy's not even in the conversation. So who's your third string quarterback, Chris?
No,
Is
I
it
mean,
Milton?
he's got to. I mean, we got to
Zappy?
talk about Zappy. I mean, we have to talk about Zappy. Listen, why is he here?
Chris, I cut him and let him go once camp gets going. He's one of my first cuts. You know what? Let the kid Milton be your third string quarterback. He's never going to play anyway, so just let him sit and learn. He's never playing. Milton's not going to ever see the field this year, but let him be a third string quarterback. What's the difference? Who cares? But Zappy out there, so he can go into the locker room and say, "Hey, I'm competing for the starting job." That's what I was told.
He thinks he is.
Ain't been told. That's why you got to get rid of him, Chris.
Yeah. I listen. And it's just for that reason alone that he really believes it. But the question becomes, okay, something happens to Brissett. What do you do there? You don't want to play May. Where are you going? Can't go to Milton. Well, who are you going to? You bring somebody else in? I mean, what do you do?
There's guys you can bring in, veterans that are still out there, Chris, that you could bring in if you don't want to play May. I mean, look at what Cleveland did last year. They picked up Flacco off the scrap heap and he took him to the playoffs, right? He was just sitting there, on his couch, playing video games. So, I don't know. But so you're saying maybe you keep Zappy around for that reason?
Ugh. No, I say you go and get somebody else. I'll tell you who I'd like to see them go get? My Battlehawks quarterback.
Oh my God almighty.
J.J. McCarron.
I'm not even going to tell the viewers about anything else about J.J. McCarron. He wants J.J. McCarron here as the third string quarterback. Okay.
I put him over Zappy. I'll put over
right.
Zappy and not turning the ball over and making stupid decisions out there.
The Battlehawks, this kid. You got a problem when this kid's got Battlehawk gear and he's watching the playoffs. He's texting me,
UFL.
"Did you see that play?" And I'm like, "What are you watching? The Battlehawks."
UFL, baby.
Like,
Number 88. That's the guy you need to bring into camp, the wide receiver from the Battlehawks. 88. What the hell's his name? I'll look it up.
This kid lost his mind.
That's who we need. So we'll see what happens with the quarterback. All things you should be watching in camp and letting us know in Heated Hotline and in our mailbag. But this portion of the Pats Nation was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, we come back, going to hear from one of you in Heated Hotline. Stick around. No flipping.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Hey, have we had
Hakeem Butler? Hakeem Butler.
This is the guy. Invite this guy to camp. Mark, listen, you will not regret it. You put this kid, he goes in high points, balls, is route running, but this is a dude that can play in between. He could be a tweener in between tight end and wide out. This is good.
All right.
If you watched any of the friggin' Battlehawks games like I told you to do, you would have seen this.
Listen, I'm not getting into the Battlehawks. Move on. Come on.
Joe, have we had a Heated Hotline in the Pats Nation yet? I know we do it in Corso and Catone every week, but
no.
Have we had that yet here?
No, this is our first. No. And we got a call in, by the way. So
this is the inaugural Heated Hotline.
So remember, everybody, Heated hotline, 855-313-PATS, PATS. Call us. It's a message line 24/7. Have a take. Mark's always wrong, so make sure you let him know that he is in heated hotline. But let's hear from one of you in the hotline. We go, Joe.
Hi, guys. This is Jen from Cranston. I'm so excited to be hearing the Pats Nation show on Sundays. So Belichick took another media job and is now writing a book. Do you guys think he's come to terms with not coaching in the future, or do you think this will up his chances of getting a coaching job? I think it's disgusting and so disappointing that teams don't seem to get how genius he is as a coach. It sucks. Thanks, guys.
There she is, right at the end.
She's back. Jen from Cranston.
Jen is back. Jen's a frequent caller on Course of Wink.
Jen's a diehard, and she always gives you it to you straight.
Yeah, at the beginning of that call, I'm like, "What is she lightening up?" Then it came out. It's disgusting. It's a disgrace. It sucks. There you go, Jen. Thank you for the call.
We love when Jen
as
calls
always.
in.
Listen, I was going to bring this up in Coach's Corner, but Jen did it for us. So Mark Belichick, it's a story around. So what she's talking about is he's got a few gigs going on now. So he signed on to work on ESPN's Monday Night Football Manning Cast. He's going to do some of that throughout the season, as well as the Pat McAfee show on and then now he's going to be joining Inside the NFL for the 2024. So Mark, did you know that? That show's been on for I don't even know how many years. 30 years, forever. 40 years, whatever it's been.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
It used to be on HBO and then Showtime. And
I'm going to tell you something. Inside the NFL used to be Nick Bonacani. I'm going way back. Nick Bonacani was on that show with the other guy. Who was the guy? Oh my God! Now
Jimmy the Greek. No, that was CBS.
Oh, Jimmy the Greek was CBS with Phyllis. Oh, I loved Phyllis George. It'll come to me who Nick Bonacani's partner was on Inside the NFL. This is going back about 35 years.
Yeah, we'll come back to reality over here. Come back to 2024 for 5 seconds, will you please? You call me a dinosaur. So, so he's going to be joining that. That's on. I think it's on the CW network.
Yeah, it is on CW
all
network.
These streaming things you're going to have to find. Who knows? I'm not going to even find that.
It's like alphabet soup.
What?
It's like alphabet soup.
It really is. You got to do a Catone's comments on that. How the hell do you even watch things on streaming anymore? But anyway, he's going to be on there with Ryan Clark, Chad Johnson, Chris Long, who he coached, and then Belichick. Yeah. First of all, how do you think he'll be on these shows? Just quick. I mean,
I think, Chris, he's going to be entertaining. He's going to show you a different side of himself. I think he can be funny and give zingers, and I think he's going to be excellent. I want to see him on Manning Cast because I think those two guys will really bring out a different side of him, and he'll banter back and forth with those guys. So I think he'll banter back and forth with what's the other guy on ESPN you said he's going to be with? The guy he was on with for the draft.
Pat McAfee.
McAfee. He'll definitely banter with McAfee. I think Inside the NFL will be a little bit more serious, but I do think you're going to be able to see him, Chris, break down plays, analyze. He'll be able to show the rest of the league.
Oh, they'll have the highest ratings they've had in years.
Right. And he'll be able to show the league, no, my mind is still as sharp as anybody on that field.
So then we need to answer Jen's question then. Do we think, she's asking, do we think this is being done? Like, is he done? He's going to write a book too. Is he done with coaching? Is he going to get a taste of, oh, Christ, I mean, I don't have to be up all night and I could do this. This is easy. This is easy compared to coaching. You think he's going to get that taste and say, the hell with this? I can make a lot of money doing this. I don't need that grief and be done? Or do you think this is to bolster his chances so that owners out there are saying, hey, look, he's personable. He gets along with people. He's obviously still knows his crap. He knows what he's talking about. He's a genius. Which way you think he goes to answer Jen's question?
To answer Jen, to answer you, I think this is his way of staying relevant and staying in the public eye so that when somebody comes calling the following year, hey, I'm still here, guys. I think
Yeah.
if he was done with coaching, Chris, he would have went off into the sunset, wrote his book, went on his boat on Nantucket, did his thing with the 24-year-old, and that would have been the end of it. But I
Do you
think
think that's
going to
hurt him?
stay relevant. What?
You think that's going to hurt him from getting a job, his personal life that way? Because I've been hearing that too.
I don't think that's going to hurt him. I don't know. Me personally,
Why should it? Why would it?
I don't think it would. But I do think, Chris, he's doing all of this to stay relevant. So his options will be open.
Why would
There's
it
the
hurt?
real
Half of these
question.
owners are.
The real question is this: who's going to suck so bad that they're going to fire their coach mid-season and need to bring him in? That's
New York Giants, the New York Football Giants.
That would be the only team, Chris, I think mid-season he would go coach them. Other than that, I think they'll put in an interim coach, and then at the end of the season,
Yeah, most teams put the interim coach.
They put an
I'm
interim.
saying
I don't
at the
think
end
he
of the
comes
year.
out of. I don't think he comes out of retirement mid-season for anybody. Unless it was the New York
I don't
Football
think
Giants.
his personal life. I don't think dating the
No.
24-year-old hurts him.
I
I
know.
mean, look at these owners. Half the owners are out there dating all kinds of young girls and all this stuff.
You saw the young
what do
girl
they care?
Kraft. You saw the young girl Mr. Kraft was with at the Brady event that we went to.
We find nothing wrong with that at all.
Listen,
What's the
that's
difference?
their personal life, their personal business.
Yeah,
Whatever
leave 'em
makes them
alone.
happy is fine with me. I don't care about that
Leave
stuff.
Bill alone.
Yeah, what do I?
Anyway, so Jen, to answer your question, I think we both think that he's still got an eye on coaching. And by the way, the other thing that's gonna bolster his chances to become a head coach again is how bad the defense may look for the Patriots this year. To show everybody, you see,
Chris,
yeah, we only have 4 wins, but do you see?
Chris, that's a good angle you just brought up. What if the Patriots win 10 games? How bad does that hurt Belichick from getting a job?
Well, I heard.
I'm not saying they're going to win 10 games, but if they go out and win 10 games, he's finished. He won't coach
Joe,
anyway.
what's he taking over there, Joe?
He's got a longer list. Like
He's talking
Christmas wish
about-
list.
Talking about
What?
10 games now. You got him winning 10 games.
Listen, all I said was that's a good angle. If they win 10 games, he's screwed. I don't know. Me, you're talking about Jimmy the Greek over there. You're talking about Jimmy the Greek for crying out loud.
He may be screwed anyway because these owners want to play with their toys. They don't want a guy that's going to take. But the only thing this will do is try to show that he's got that side that can, So
Yeah.
we'll
All
see, Jen. It's a good question. Stay tuned. So Heated Hotline was presented by Corso and Catone, the real deal. New England Field Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Every Saturday, catch Mark, I, and Joe on the program. We talk all kinds of sports, everything. So you never want to miss that. When we come back, going to talk coach, going to talk Mayo, going to talk Coach's Corner. No flipping.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
What?
That's
crap
it.
is- What is wrong with
Get him on this damn
you?
show.
Lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Back in with the Pats Nation. So, Mark, we're going to talk about the coaches. We've been hitting on it all show. Okay. And so, look, you know how I feel about this coaching staff. Almost all the key positions, okay? All the key positions are new time guys, guys that are doing it for the first time. Covington never did it before. Alex Van Pelt never really did it before. He didn't really call plays much at all. The offensive line coach, it just goes to the special teams coach, Mayo, Elliott Wolf, if you really want to keep going higher. All first-time jobs for these guys. I'm more than concerned.
Yeah. Well, listen.
That's all. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's all I'm concerned.
The one thing I'll say about the OC, Chris, is he is supposed to be a quarterback whisperer, right?
Yeah.
So
Talking about
maybe
Alex
Van
Van
Pelt. Yeah. So maybe Van Pelt helps. Maybe he helps with Drake Maye's development. I know this is the first time he's ever called plays, Chris, but but maybe he helps Drake Maye's development because he is supposedly good with the quarterbacks, right? And we'll see. Hopefully that he is the quarterback whisperer, and Maye can really develop under him. Now, can he call plays? That's going to be a big question, Chris. This kid Covington, can he scheme to protect the middle of the field and center field because of safety and Bentley and Tavai? Can he scheme to protect them like Belichick did? We don't know, Chris, because he's not. I mean, listen, was Mayo and Belichick's son calling the defensive plays last year? Did Bill not have anything to do with that defensive scheme in the meetings leading up to Saturday and Sunday? Do you believe that?
No. Those guys may have been calling the plays on Sundays, but like you heard Brady say before, Sundays was just a formality.
Because we had the answers to the question. We had the answers to the question.
Again, they only won 4 games. So, I mean, they had no answers. But the point, but defensively, they were pretty good. You know, they were pretty
defensively
good defense
they had
last year.
They had some answers, Chris, I thought.
And so for all of those who think that, see, this is where people out there, you know, you're looking at Sunday. Don't look at Sunday. Look at Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, and even Saturday. Look at those days. Who's coming up with the game plan? Who's implementing it? You know, Belichick would sit down with these guys and flat out tell them, okay, if we want to beat this team, we got to do this, this, and this. And if we don't do these things, we're not beating this team. This is what we need to look for. This is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. Let's go do it. And then you leave it to these guys to implement the plan, you know, help them create the plan and to get to those goals. Who's doing that? Who's the guy that's sitting in that room with them? Because Mayo is supposed to be that guy. Who's going to be the guy that's going to sit with them, Mark, and say that? On both sides of the ball. Yeah. If we want to beat this team, this is what we need to do.
Does Mayo get involved in the defense? Listen, Mayo, Chris, is going to have enough of a time with game management, and we're going to get into that in a minute because I know you have a lot to say about that. You're right. Who's going to be leading them up to that point? It's going to be very interesting. Listen, the more and more we talk, I think I said they were going to win 5 games, 6, 5. You had 4.
Yeah, maybe 4.
3.
I
don't know, Chris. You may be right again. You were right last year. As we're talking through this, and this coaching staff, maybe they are more like a 3-win team because these guys have never. It's not just one guy, Chris. Nobody on the staff has ever done it before in this role. It's not about Sundays. It's about during the week. And let me tell you something about player coaches. Yeah. Okay, guys that are guys that the players love. Well, let me tell you something. When you start losing, players start to not love it as much. Okay, players don't like it because it hurts their bottom line too. And so when there's disorganization, especially guys that played for Belichick now, when you're during that week and you don't have that voice in front of you saying, just do this, do this, do this. Now, they didn't have the horses to do it, but you don't have that. And it seems like you're searching for answers. Players are going to check out. And that's Chris, a huge problem. And Chris, what about in-game game management on Sunday? Oh. Can Mayo handle that? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, that remains to be seen. It depends on how good the preparation is ahead of time. You know, I talked to Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, about this very thing, about analytics, about who they're meeting with, what type of meetings they have, all in preparation. Is there going to be so much on his plate that game management is the thing that takes the hit? Because there's certain situations that come up in games where you see a lot of bad coaching happening. We're used to Belichick. You don't see that. But you don't see it. Yeah. You're going to see it with Mayo. He's going to be over Chris, his head. It's rapid fire too. You don't have time to turn and consult with someone and say, well, what do you think? Game situation is rapid fire. You're going to have to make some quick decisions. You're going to have to make some quick adjustments. I don't know experience-wise, Chris, if he is ready for this. We're going to find out. I know you didn't think he was when they hired him, but we're going to find out. We're going to find out real quick. We will find out, and we will do it real soon. But the Pats Nation was presented by Corso and Catone, Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Hey, get on, watch our shows, both shows. They're up for you. So subscribe, give us that thumbs up,
Get all our notifications. Come back next weekend, 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Hey, we're going to have a special Tom Brady episode, so stick around. You're definitely not going to want to miss that. We are the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. See you next Sunday.